April 28th, 2026 will always be remembered not for its set list, not for its stage effects, but for two figures who, without words, managed to create the most honest story on stage. Jungkook and Taehyung. Two names who had been side by side for so long, but that night felt like the first time the world truly saw who they were. The stage lights shone on them in near-perfect choreography. Every movement was precise, every step in sync. But it was in the midst of that perfection that something unexpected happened. A small moment. A microphone that slightly shifted, enough to throw Taehyung off kilter for a moment. That second felt slow. The cameras captured the subtle confusion on his face. Not panic, not a major mistake, but enough to disrupt a rhythm that had been practiced for months. And there, without drama, Jungkook moved. Not a big move, not flashy. Some might have even missed it, but to those who were paying attention, it was everything. With light steps and a barely visible hand, Jungkook approached, adjusted his position, and guided Taehyung back into the flow of the choreography. That touch, so gentle, as if saying, "I'm here." No words, no long stare, just a trust that had been built over the years. Taehyung responded silently. No exaggerated smile, no dramatic expression, just a small breath, one subsequent movement that returned to synchronicity. But from there, everything changed. The energy on stage suddenly felt deeper, more personal. The fans began to notice. The cheers turned into something more emotional. The fan cameras began to focus, capturing every detail, every tiny corner of that unplanned interaction. And then, as if the universe were playing a part, there was a moment where the two of them stood side by side. The music slowed, the lights dimmed, and for a split second, they turned to each other. It wasn't a long look, but enough to convey 1,000 things that were never said. That night wasn't just about professionalism on stage. It was about presence, about how one person can be an anchor for another, even amidst thousands of watching eyes. Fan cams began to appear just minutes after the performance ended. From various angles, varying qualities, but with one common focus, a small moment that felt so big. Some slowed down the video, zooming in on the part where Jungkook's hand touched Taehyung's. Others compared the expressions before and after that moment. And the more people watched, the clearer one thing became. This wasn't just a coincidence. There was a history behind it. Years of practicing together. Long journeys, laughter, conflict, and growth that wasn't always visible on camera. All of it gathered in one simple gesture on stage. Many called that night their most honest moment. Not because there was a big confession, but because nothing was staged. It just happened. Natural. Real. As the concert continued, they continued their usual performance. Energetic, charismatic, captivating. But for those who had witnessed the moment, everything felt different. Every small interaction became more meaningful. Some smiles felt warmer. Some laughter sounded more genuine. And the distance between them felt increasingly distant. It was as if that night had revealed layers that had been hidden behind professionalism and stage presence. Not that it wasn't real before, but this time it felt closer. Questions began to arise. Was this the pinnacle of their relationship? Was this the moment where everything they'd been building was finally revealed to the world? Or maybe this wasn't the pinnacle. Maybe it was just one of many small moments that had gone unnoticed, but this time, it happened to be caught on camera. Because in the end, what made that night so special wasn't the microphone incident or the momentary choreography disruption. It was how two people chose to care for each other despite imperfections. And perhaps that was why the stadium was filled with tears. Not because something major had happened, but because everyone realized they had just witnessed something deeply human. Something that couldn't be rehearsed, couldn't be engineered. It could only be felt. But the story didn't end when the stage lights dimmed. In fact, after the music ended, many felt the moment linger, replaying in the minds of those who witnessed it. Like an unfinished scene, leaving a warmth that's hard to explain. Backstage, no one really knew what happened between them. There was no official recording, no statement. But that was precisely its power. Because what happened on stage spoke volumes without further explanation. Some fans speculated that it was a reflection of a maturing relationship. No longer just a work-related bond, but a connection forged through time, experience, and a deep understanding. Others saw it as a form of absolute trust. The belief that even when one person missteps, the other will always be there to maintain balance. And that night, that trust was palpable. Interestingly, that moment also changed the way many viewed stage performance as a whole. It was no longer just about technical perfection, but about how imperfection can actually create a more honest beauty. In a world that often demands perfection, that small moment felt like a reminder that beneath all the rigorous training and high standards, there's a humanity that can't be hidden, and that's precisely what's most touching. Days after the concert, the clips are still circulating. They haven't lost their appeal. They never feel outdated. Every time you rewatch them, there's always a new detail to discover, a new emotion to feel. And perhaps that's why the moment sticks so deeply, because it didn't just happen once. It relives every time someone watches it, every time someone experiences it in their own way. Ultimately, that night became more than just a part of a world tour. It became a story. A story about two people who, amidst the glitz and glamour of the stage and the high expectations, still found a way to care for each other in the simplest, yet most meaningful way.
Yeah.